Hello everyone, happy Saturday. I hope you had a great day. I know AJ, we had everything planned on what we're going to do, and we pretty much did everything but what we were planning to do, and that's why I'm a couple minutes late, because I'm still trying to get everything back in place in order and whatnot. But we're here. So I'm going to wait a few seconds, kind of let some people jump on. I do want to show you, I did get our new products for the fall in, and so Downtown Brown is back, and then these colors are from our new palette, and my inner 90s teenage self is just screaming with excitement. I am so excited. I think I've got 3 different colors on from the palette, and there's 6 total. Absolutely love it. All right, so let's just jump in, okay? This is our diary, or dance teacher diaries. So my name is Miss Anna. For those of you who don't know, I am a dance teacher. I've been a dance teacher my entire life. Or not my entire life. See, the brain is just not working. I've been involved in dance my entire life, but I've been a teacher for a few decades. It feels like my entire life, honestly. Won awards for choreography. Absolutely love teaching. I've had to take a break over the last couple of years after having my daughter. So I'm trying to do something a little bit different, kind of still keep my toes in the dance world until everything's healed physically, mentally, all that fun stuff. But let's just go in. Last week we talked about how to pick the right studio, and this week we are going to talk about some entertaining things. And if you did not catch last week's, I do have a YouTube channel. So if you can't find it scrolling down through the comments, I do have a YouTube channel, and I'll post the link on that later so you can watch there. I'm very small YouTube page and working on building that. So, all right, we are going to talk about a very, in some cases, a controversial topic here, and that's our dress code. Okay, so we're going to talk about dress code as well as what to expect on your first day of dance. So. With dress code, when you go to dance and you're going to the studio and you sign up your dancer and all that fun stuff, one of the big questions that you need to ask is there a dress code, or what is the class attire? And the studio is either going to say yes, kind of, or they're going to say no. That's pretty much what your answers are going to be. So I'm going to kind of talk it down with each of those options, and then we'll also talk about what to expect on the first day when you take your little one, and kind of how to prep for that. So it's a little bit longer today, and again, I forgot to make my notes bigger print, so if you see me squinting here, it's just I cannot read my notes. So all right, first things first, if they say yes, we have a dress code, this is going to make both your life and your teacher's life a lot easier. Okay, and so I'm going to kind of break it down to why this is a plus and a good thing and all that. The biggest thing is it's going to save you money in the long run. At first, it's going to seem like, oh my gosh, we're having to buy this, that. But in the long run, it's going to save you money. It's just trust me on this one. It's going to help you save money. So why I, as a dance teacher, like the dress code, okay? And again, I'm not associated with any studio right now. These are my opinions that I've kind of gathered over the years and tried over the years. Some things worked, some things didn't. Some things were, oh, we should never do that again. And some were like, yay, we're going to do this for the rest of my life. So the first things first is when your student is in dance class, the main focus is technique, okay? It's not a fashion show or something like that. They're going in there to learn technique and how to do steps properly to help prevent injuries. Okay, you do not want your dancer getting injured. You kind of what I talked about last week. Each class builds from the week before. So where the dress code comes in handy is it helps the teacher see everything a little bit better. And also with the tights, my brain just took a little side tour there. Tights help keep their muscles warm. I know there's a big thing of some people are like, oh, I'm not wearing tights, or I don't need tights, or you wear what you want. Have your dancer wear tights, okay? It helps their muscles stay warm. It helps when you go transition from outside to inside studio, that kind of thing. It helps keep that going, because you do not want to walk outside after doing 3 hours of dance and you're all hot and sweaty, and then you walk outside and it's ice cold, and your muscles will not like that at all. And all that work that you just did stretching and growing and getting your flexibility will be not there. Okay, so tights are very important. Okay, so back in. When they're in class, they're learning technique, and then in some cases, towards the end of the year, they'll start working on their recital dances. So with the class attire, and every dancer dressed the same color leotards, same color tights, same color shoes, hair up in a ponytail or a bun, depending on what the class is. It will help the teachers see what needs to be fixed a lot easier. So if everybody's dressed the same and then somebody's head is turned this way, they'll be able to see that in a heartbeat because they're not fighting all the different colors and patterns and random things that I've seen over the years, okay? So it really helps break down the time and make things go a lot smoother and easier. So, and then when they're learning their dances, it's a lot easier to see the patterns that the teachers are trying to choreograph and get things moving. So when they're all in the same clothes, it's easier to see the formations move. And it will also give them an idea of what they'll look like when they all have their same recital costumes on. So it just helps visually for the teacher to be able to see who's not in the right place, whose head or hand or foot is not where it needs to be. And so it just makes it a lot easier, and it makes choreography easier. Along with that, it also helps build team. It helps build teamwork. You know, you're like, how does wearing all the same color leotard do that? But it teaches them that they're one unit, okay? And in dance, a lot of times, especially when you're working on recital dance, they need to move as one. They need to be all snapping their heads at a certain time, or they need to be all in the right place at the same time to do a big lift. So when they're dressed the same, their minds are working, okay, we are a team, we are a unit, we are one. So that's another reason why I really enjoy the dress code thing there, okay? I'm gonna kind of break it down now into why it's important to have a detailed dress code, okay, and why I like it. So one of them is they're not worried about what they're wearing, okay? Everybody's dressed the same. They're not sitting here going, oh, I'm cooler because I have this designer leotard. No, you guys are all the same across the board. So all the dancers, you're not worrying about if your leotard is moving in a place where it shouldn't be moving. You're not worrying about if this is falling off. So it just kind of alleviates that added worry or stress. And especially when you're working with preteens and teenagers, they see that, they focus on that. That's kind of their thing. And so this kind of alleviates that extra, I don't want to say pressure, but extra, I guess, pressure on having to look good, have the certain style, have the clothes, have the this and that. This just stops it. Everybody's the same. And kind of that was my next point, is it stops wasting time. Like in dance, you're trying to get everything you can in every second at all times. So if you're wasting time trying to figure out your leotard, that's time that you could have been doing something else. So it helps with that. Okay, and this next part, it helps them with the dress code, especially when you start with younger dancers and they're working their way up. It helps them to learn to love their bodies. I know, what? Okay, and the dance world has a whole stigma and all that stuff, and I'm not getting into that. I'm just talking about studio dances here in the Midwest. Like, this is what we're talking about. So when you have a dancer that's coming in, 3, 4, and she's growing up through the dance studio, and she's been wearing the tights and leotard every year, and everybody's the same, they will start to learn how to love their bodies. This is your body. This is, and it's also, hopefully they have a teacher that's encouraging and helping with that as well. But it helps them, after a while, when you're looking in the mirror, you kind of forget about the body and stuff, and you're focusing on your technique. It's kind of like when you're wearing glasses. First, you notice them all the time, and then eventually you don't notice them anymore. And so that's how it is with leotard, tights, and dance class. They're looking in the mirror every day, seeing, and at first they're like, oh my gosh, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. But then after 2 or 3 weeks, they're looking in the mirror like, is my arm right? Is my head right? Is my foot right? So it helps them to start learning to accept their body, love their body, and all that. Just saying. And I'm just saying that hopefully the teacher is helpful with that as well. So I'm not, like I said, this is my personal experience, personal opinion. So on the next one, it saves you money. Yes, dance moms, dance dads, dance grandparents, guardians, it saves you money, okay? I've worked at studios where they don't have a set color dress code kind of thing, where it's just wear leotard, tights, that kind of thing. And when you do that, you've got dancers who every week they're coming in a different leotard. I'm like, that's $30, that's $40, that's adding on, adding on. And then you have the one girl who's always in the same leotard through the whole year. So with the dress code, it saves you money. You're not having to worry and buy the next best thing that they saw on whatever social media they are. And then for me, I used to use the dress code, like we'll say the older girls, they wore a black leotard and tights, pink tights, depending on ballet or jazz or that kind of stuff. And so when they did that, I used that as a base. So like we would do holiday shows, we would do, like Christmas shows, parades, that kind of thing. So I would use that black leotard as a base, and then we would add accessories to it. So you weren't having to go out and buy another costume. We were able to build on the class leotard that they already had, save you money, because dance is expensive. I'll just say that out loud. It is expensive, but you got a budget and it will work. So it will do that. One of the things that I hear is dance is supposed to be self-expression, okay? And yes, if you're doing a private lesson, if you are doing, or if you're a choreographer, yes, okay? But when you're in a class setting and you're learning technique, it is not about self-expression. It is about you learning how to properly do the steps, so that way you don't get injured, and that way you can progress and move on. So if say your goal is to get on pointe shoes, okay? Your focus is, am I doing my plies right? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? So making sure that it's all building, it's not expressing yourself in some crazy way. You need to work as a team with your class, and you are all one unit. Now, if you're in a private lesson, that is something totally different. And when you get into choreography, that's where you get to express yourself all you want, okay? So just throwing that out there. And again, with class, it's not a fashion show. You are there to learn technique, okay? And then for the studios that I have worked in, some of them, we use the color leotards as a way to kind of promote the dancers. So we'll say our itty bitties would start in a pale pink, and then the next level would be, we'll say blue, and then the next level was turquoise and green, and then we would go up to purples, and then the final, like the advanced, oh my goodness, that's what I want to be, they would be in the traditional black leotard. So we kind of use that as a way to help them like get excited about the next level, moving up, help them work on their technique. As you can see, I've said technique about 100 times, so that is clearly the important thing. But I could always, when it gets towards the end of the year, the girls, oh, I hope I get to move up. I love that leotard color. Oh, I can't wait. And this also teaches them, to set goals. It teaches them to look, practice and work towards something. So if you don't have a competition team, this is a great way to help teach them that, how to set goals and move forward. And then if they don't get moved forward, it teaches them, oh, okay, I need to work on something. And so we're going to touch on that next week, because we're going to talk about kind of your role as a dance parent or guardian person. But one of the things is, I'm going to say it here and I'm going to say it next week. Dancers don't move every single year. They do not move every year. Unless your studio has about 12 to 13 different levels, they're not going to move every year. And that's okay. And one of the things as a parent that you need to work on, and help them with, is if they don't get promoted, instead of going, oh my gosh, I can't believe she didn't get promoted or whatnot, and Sue got promoted, you need to talk to them. Okay, let's talk to your teacher and see what we can work on for next year. And I'll guarantee you that teacher will sit down, and if not, then I'd be kind of questioning that. But they will talk to you like, okay, we need to work on this. We need to make sure you're coming to your classes. We need to make sure that you're not 15 minutes late every week, or we need to make sure that you're doing extra stretches, or here's some extra stretches that you can use to help you get promoted. So that's just kind of a little tangent there, and I'll come back to that next week. So that's something that's really important. All right, so if your studio says they kind of have a dress code, or there's no dress code, this also pertains to the yes, so we'll just jump into that. If they have no color, specific color for their leotard, be very, very careful with getting leotards that have the wild and crazy prints. And I say that because one of the things is, any dancer that's ever been with me for 2 seconds knows. I am diagnosed with ADHD, and I get distracted very easy. As you can see, sometimes when I'm talking, I'm like, phew, shiny, okay. So when you have a dancer in a leotard that's got all these patterns, when they're going across the floor, especially with turns, it's hard for me to focus. I'm like, ooh, we got purple lines and pink lines and all this stuff. So when they're in a solid color, it's easier for me, and I know I'm not the only one, to focus and see what they're doing and making sure they're where they're supposed to be so they don't splat against the wall or fall off the stage. So, and it's also when you're doing lifts and when you're doing, if they're throwing them in there and that kind of stuff, when you've got that solid color, it's easier to see where things go as opposed to all the crazy patterns and colors and everything. And then, as I've learned last week, look at your dress code and get it now, okay? And read the reviews. Please read the reviews, because my poor kid, I tried to put her ballet shoes on and they were like this big and her foot's this big, okay? So read the reviews, because a lot of times, especially when it comes to ballet soft shoes, they run either 2 sizes bigger or 2 sizes smaller or some weird random thing. And so make sure you're reading the reviews. And the same thing with leotards. Some leotards run a little bit bigger, some run smaller. So just be aware of that. And when we're talking about that, here's the next one is skirts and shorts and kind of cover-ups. If I used to let my non-ballet students wear like a skirt, or they can wear little shorts, and the key is little, okay? When I mean little, I don't mean like a thong kind of thing, but short, so I could still see where their muscles are, because I want to make sure that they're engaging certain muscles in their legs. So if you've got these long biker shorts on, I'm not going to be able to see that. Or if you've got long flowing skirts, I'm not going to be able to see that. So just kind of be aware of that when you're buying, if you're able to buy the shorts and that kind of things, that we need to be able to see the muscles in the legs as well. So let's see. Okay. And then kind of, this goes for the littles and the big. So we're going to talk about kind of a thing here. So when your dancer hits a certain age, so we'll say she's 11, 12, hits a certain age, body starts changing, and then it happens, okay? It is very tempting to, when it's that week, to either keep your dancer at home because she's not comfortable wearing her tights and leotard, or to come over to the teacher and be like, hey, she needs to wear shorts this week for ballet class, even though that's not the dress code. Depending on the kid, I'll let them wear the shorts, okay? So if hopefully your job is to get them comfortable and understand that that's part of life. They're going to have to do it year in and year out for a long, long time. So kind of work with them on that. They also make dance undergarments that they can wear. I'm a big advocate on no underwear under your tights and leotard. I know, but that's what your tights are for. They're really long underwear. Okay, so you wear your tights, you wear your leotard, and that's it. So that way, if you're going across stage and all of a sudden your leotard decides to go somewhere, we're not staring at, in my daughter's case, Spider-Man coming across the stage with her undies hanging out. Okay, so get your kid used to wearing the tights as their underwear and then their leotard. But if it's that time of the month, they do make dance underwear that you can wear. So if they need to wear certain undergarments or whatnot, or guest protection, that will hold that in place without having to wear the shorts, because they need to get used to that. Because if that happens on recital day, I guarantee you that teacher's not going to go, yeah, go put your sweats on, girl. I don't care. Go across that stage just because we've been working on this for a year. You go do Swan Lake in your sweatpants, okay? It's not going to happen. So you need to get them used to it in class. So that way, if God forbid there's an accident or something happens, it's in the privacy of the classroom and not on a gigantic stage. Okay, if you have any questions on that, send me a message, comment below, that kind of thing. But just get them ready for it, because that is not a fun year to teach. Let's just say that. All right, so the same thing kind of goes with your littles. Get them used to not wearing the underwear, okay? Because when it comes to recital, you do not want to be having that battle on stage or right before they go on stage when you're trying to rip that off and they're like, okay, because that you do not want to do that. So just get them used to that. And speaking of the littles and dress code and class, okay, a lot of times there's not a dress code for the itty bitties, okay? These are your 2.5, 3, 4-year-olds, kind of that age group. And it's very, very tempting when you get online to get one of those beautiful, gorgeous, cute little dresses, okay? They've got the sparkles, they've got the big tutus, gigantic bows everywhere. Like, it's just like, ooh, I can just pinch her cheeks kind of thing. Please, as a dance teacher, I'm saying this with every ounce of my being, do not buy those and send them to class. And the reason I say that is I know I've spent a majority of a class telling whoever's wearing the big fancy one, don't put that in your mouth, don't pull on it, it will get, at some point it got snagged, and then they sit there and they're ripping a big hole in it. I'm like, oh my god, my mom spent so much money on that. So just keep it simple with the little ones. Keep it simple. If you're not doing just tights and leotard and you want to get a skirt, get a little bitty ballet skirt and make sure that it's either attached to the leotard or it's one of the pull-up ones, not a ribbon one, okay? I fear for the day when I have to start teaching my kid how to tie shoes, because I've tied so many skirts and shoes in my life that I wear flip-flops for a reason, because I'm tired of tying shoes. So just be aware of that, because those do come untied. So that's time that the teacher has to stop, go tie it, and everything like that. And kind of like I said last week, it's just that a lot of times it's just the teacher and the students, okay? So if your child needs to go to the bathroom, you need to make sure that they're there, because the teacher's not going to be able to go out there. So if you've got some big elaborate outfit and your kid's running out because they have to go to the bathroom, that's not going to be convenient trying to get all that off. So just keep it simple. Keep it simple. And then kind of speaking of the shoes, there are a lot of the little kids have a ballet class and a tap class, and they're kind of combined, so that way the kids can test it out. If you have tap, okay, they make shoes that buckle. And then they also make, so if your studio say they want you to get the ribbon ones, when you're in class, they make these they kind of look like little rubber bands, the hair ties that have the ball on the ends of them. They make those so you could put them through the shoe and they hook, so that way there's no tying. Highly recommend buying that. So during the class, they can wear those, and then at recital, you could put the big pretty bows in. And that your teacher will be like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, just saying that from experience. If there is no dress code at your studio, okay, if they're just like, oh, they can wear whatever they want, do not send them in their everyday clothes, okay? A lot of times it makes the kid feel uncomfortable because everybody else is in tights and leotard, and then they're in their or their school clothes or whatever they've been in. And it's also not practical. So if you're wearing your jeans and you've got your sweatshirt on that you've worn all day, it's not getting you in the mindset for dance. It's probably stinky, probably covered in whatever you dropped on it that day. And then it's not the best for stretching. So when you're trying to stretch, your jeans are tight and you're just like, oh, I can't get my toes. So it kind of sets them back a little bit. And with that, dancers, and I kind of missed to say this last week, dancers need a dance bag. You need to get your dancer a dance bag. They need to have a bag that's just for dance, not random things thrown in, not their school bag. They need a dance bag. And in this dance bag, they need to have their clothes for class. They need to have extra hair ties, bobby pins, brush, and then Band-Aids. Make sure you got your Band-Aids. And then you want to also make sure that you have a snack like a granola bar or a bottled water. And we're going to touch on that here in a little bit. So that way, get their dance stuff done the night before. Get everything packed up. If they're old enough, have them do it. They need to get in the practice of doing their own bag, because I don't know how many times I've had dancers come in. My mom forgot my dance bag. I'm like, girl, you are 13. That's your dance bag, not your mama's. Okay? So this teaches them responsibility, being, making sure that they're prepared for class. So kind of get into the routine right away, even when they're itty bitty. When they're done with class, have your little bitty one, put their shoes in their bag. That's their bag. Have them take out their shoes. Make sure you're doing that. Also, make sure that you label everything. I don't know how many times, I don't even know how it happens. Somehow little kids, they're all wearing their shoes, and then we always end up with an extra one. And I'm like, where did this come from? They're all wearing shoes. So little loose shoes. When you're fast and you're changing classes and you're trying to get to the next soccer practice or something, a shoe might have fallen out. So make sure you label, and label on the inside of the shoe. Let me say that again. On the inside of the shoe. Okay, I've had moms put their names on the bottom of the shoe, which if it was a street shoe, that'd be fine. But when you're dancing and your feet are up like this and you have Susie here, that's not what we're going for. So just label, 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 label. Okay. and teach them to do their own dance bags. Let's see. And then so if they don't have a dress code, get them tights and leotards, okay? If you get to dance and you're like, oh my goodness, dance bag's not here, my kid does not have anything, you can ask the teacher if they can dance in their street clothes. Probably 75 will say, yeah, sure. But again, that kid's going to be uncomfortable. But do not be surprised if you have a teacher that says, no, they're not prepared for class, so no. And the student has to sit in the front and watch class. I have policy, okay? Read your policies, make sure that that's what their policy is, and then don't be surprised if that happens because they weren't prepared. You're not going to send your kid off to football practice. They forgot their helmet and be like, well, let him play football anyway. You're not going to do that. No, he'd get hurt. And the same's going to go with dance. So if they're wearing these big baggy clothes that they wore at school, don't expect the teacher to put them in class. Just throwing that out there. Okay, so some big kind of no-nos when it comes to dress rehearsal. Man, y'all, I need a nap. I did not get a nap today. The brain is not working. All right, so when it comes, some big no-nos about dress code. So when you find out that your studio has a dress code, okay, do not go to the owner or the teacher and say, Susie doesn't like the dress code, we need to change it. Because I'm going to tell you, if this mama came to me and said that, I'd be like, there's the door, go find another studio. Because clearly you're going to be that mom. You're going to be the issue. So, as I said, I'm probably going to say this every week. Dance studio owners and teachers put a lot of time and effort. A lot of time and effort that we are not paid for. Okay? A lot of our free time into our studios, into our classes, into our dances. Okay, so if they have a dress code, there's a reason they have a dress code. If they have certain colors, there's a reason they have those colors. So do not go in there and go, I don't like your dress code, okay? And kind of with the helmet thing, you're not going to go up to your kid's, your son or daughter's softball or baseball coach and say, you know, the uniform just doesn't do her eyes very well. So can we change the color? No, you're not going to do that. So why do you think it's okay to do that to your dance teacher? Don't. Just don't. Just don't. Just don't. All right. Next, do not send your kid into class with a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a hoodie or a jacket. Okay. One of the things is I get a lot was, oh, she's so cold. And I've had a studio, couple of studios where you walk in and it is freezing in the winter and we got to get the heat up. And a lot of times I would go in early to try to get that going. And so that first class is a little bit colder. They make special dance clothes for warm-ups. They make sweaters, they make leg warmers, different things like that. When you send them in a sweatshirt or a t-shirt, they're getting trained to get used to that. So I've had students that I've seen at studios that allowed that. They would get comfortable in it. And then in class, they would be sitting there like this, constantly trying to cover their body because we just did a whole exercise where we're lifting our arms. And so kind of going back to, they need to learn to love their body. They need to learn to be comfortable in their own skin. So when you're setting them in there, you're saying, hey, it's okay to cover up. It's okay to not be proud of your body. And we don't want to do that. Okay. And when they're cold, like I said, we have special outfits. I know my goal as a dance teacher is to get them comfortable in their body. Okay. So when they're wearing those hoodies and jeans to school, they are like, I got this. This is who I am. Okay. I don't want them we got to work on it. We are women. Let's be proud, that kind of thing. And then the other thing is when you wear the hoodies and the t-shirts to class, you're covering up your body so your teacher cannot see what's going on under there. So we can't see if your hips are not where they need to be. We can't see if you've got certain body parts engaged, if your ribs, if everything's where it needs to be. So when you wear those, you're covering all that up, and that can cause injury. And then if you're doing a class where you're partnering, you don't want somebody lifting you and then as you come down, your shirt gets caught on their hand and you're sitting there like getting choked or something because your shirt got caught. So don't wear t-shirts, don't wear sweatshirts. Those are good for like if you're doing your Christmas parade and you're dancing down the street. Yes. Class, no. Technique, that's what we're working on. We're trying to make sure that we're teaching you so you don't get hurt and so you can progress and grow. Okay. And then, kind of like I said, they make special dance clothes. They make ballet sweaters, which you can wear, at least in most studios, you can wear those in other classes. And they're very fitted and they tie right under the ribs. So that way you can still see everything. Or sometimes for the little ones, they might tie around the waist. Okay, so they have those. They have leg warmers. Now, with the leg warmers, A, make sure you label them on the inside. B, make sure you check to make sure that they are okay to wear those, because when they wear leg warmers, that covers their ankle. And in dance, especially ballet, seeing your foot is extremely important. So don't be surprised if your teacher's like, yeah, you can wear them until we're done with plies, and then you got to take everything off. And with that, if you're doing your plies correctly, you're sweating by the end of them, so your body should be warmed up, so you shouldn't need all the layers on, okay? So just be prepared for that if that's something that you're worried about. The next thing is jewelry. No jewelry. No studs, no necklaces, no bracelets, watches, all of that, okay? And the reason I say that is I've had dancers that wear these stud earrings and then one falls off. Okay, and the next thing I know, I got a dancer screaming because she just stepped on it. Okay, so you don't want that, especially, and with necklaces, when you're doing partner work, gone. Okay, watches, you could scratch yourself, you could scratch your neighbor, so just do not wear jewelry. I know it's very tempting to do the cute stuff and wear the jewelry. Don't do that, especially in class. Competitions, I know that there are studios that do the earrings and stuff. That's competition. That's a one-time thing. I'm still not a fan of that, just because I've had a dancer get injured pretty good from somebody else's earring on the stage to where there was blood. It was gross. So I am not a fan of jewelry, but I know at competitions they do that. But in your class, technique is your important, not looking glammed up and all that stuff. So feeling very preachy tonight, so I apologize, you guys. But this is years and years of pinned up here. So, all right, let's talk about tights, okay? If your tights have a hole in them, okay, and a lot of times it's up in the groin area or the knees, okay, get new tights, okay? Your tights are there to keep your muscles warm. So if you've got a big old hole in an area, that muscle is not staying warm. So it just, get new tights. And it looks trashy. It looks, okay? I highly suggest that you order at least 2 pairs at the beginning of the year, and then they'll work their way through them. Because especially if you're in like modern dance, contemporary, you're sliding and rolling and flipping and doing all this stuff, your tights are going to get a rip in them. But don't send your dancer with ripped tights. Please don't. Okay. Hair. All right. Hair. If your kid is in a ballet class, it's a ballet bun. That's it. Ballet bun. Okay? And when I say a ballet bun, I don't mean a bun on the side of their head. I mean a ballet bun. It's either here or somewhere along. And with that, the reason I say that is with the ballet bun in the center, that helps them when they're doing turns, okay? That also helps if they're doing partner work with with another dancer. So when it's in the center, that's teaching them where their center is. So when they're doing their turns, they're centered. If you've got your bun over here, you're not centered, okay? If you've got a ponytail, you're doing turns and you're most likely whipping your eyes. I don't know how many contacts I've lost over the years on the nights that I would wear a ponytail. I quickly learned it's a bun for every class, okay? So ballet bun, or some studios do have like a French braid or some kind of braid. Just make sure if you do a French braid, or if you do like the 2 braids and they cross over, make sure everything is centered, okay? I know it's tempting. Sometimes I get the buns here, like little teddy bear ears on the little kids. Those are super cute, but be careful with those, because that could affect it. It could also affect when if they're learning rolls. If they're learning any kind of, I don't want to say stunt, but any kind of trick move, if they have it, some kind of weird thing going on, it might not be easy for them to do it. So just keep it in a bun, keep it simple. And then speaking of the bun, when you go to class, start working on it now. Start learning it now. Sending your kid in with a messy bun, you are setting them up for so many not good things. I understand that you were probably flying home from school, or you just dropped one kid off and now you're coming back and you got to do this and that. I get it. I totally get it. So that's why it's important to start doing the bun now. So A, you can master it, and B, your kid gets used to it, and eventually they'll learn it themselves and can do it themselves. The bun is super, super easy. It does not need to be recital perfect. Okay. There's a difference between class hair bun and recital hair bun and competition hair bun. Okay, so when you're doing a class one, you could do I was gonna have my daughter here, but they went off to go have daddy-daughter time, which is okay. So when you're doing a bun, an easy way to do it is just do a ponytail, then you just twist, wrap it around, and then you can either secure it with some bobby pins, or with my hair, I get it so tight that I could just put another rubber band on it, and that does not move all night. I can do a whole night's worth of dance, rolling, jumping, go out to dinner afterwards, and it's still not moving. Okay, so just start practicing now, and you will thank yourself when it comes to recital and everybody's freaking out on how to do the bun, and you're just like, boop, 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 done. Okay, so practice. Also, make sure, whether your kid's wearing a ponytail for tap class, or they're wearing a ballet bun, or they're wearing whatever, that their bangs are out of their face. Okay, this is one of those where I'm like, oh. Okay, if your kid, say your kid has super short hair, okay, I've had some dancers that have super short hair, super cute, get a headband. Just get a headband. That's a headband, boom. Make sure it's secure. If they're shaking their head and it's flopping, do not use it, okay? I don't know how many hours over the years I have wasted having to fix dancers' hair because they came in a messy bun. Excuse me, they did one move and poof, it was gone. It was out. Okay? Also, excuse me, when you send a dancer into class and like, just have your teacher do your hair. You're taking away class time from everybody who's paid. Your student is now coming in not prepared, so you're teaching them it's okay not to be prepared. And they get uncomfortable. A lot of times they're like, oh God, I gotta have Miss Anna do my hair. And Miss Anna cannot do hair. I cannot do hair. You will notice I'm either in a side ponytail, a side bun, or a side braid, or a bun. That's it. Those are my 3 hairstyles. My poor child has learned that's it. Okay, I've lived my life with a ballet bun, so that's what I got. So that's all you're gonna get from Miss Anna. If you've tried the hair bun, you're just like, oh, it's not for me. I just can't do it. Ask another mom. There's a waiting room full of moms, and I guarantee you, every class has one mom who is amazing at the hair bun. Okay, and that used to be my mom. My mom used to be the one that did a lot of people's hair at the recital. Okay, there's going to be that one mom that does it very well, and she is really good at it, and she likes to do it, okay? So if you are not, the bun's not your thing, just go up to mom and be like, hey, can you show me how to do this? Or ask her, hey, she's not letting me, can you help me out? And another trick that I've seen over the years, which is probably what I'm going to have to do because my child will not let me go near her with a hairbrush. If your child is one of those that just will not let you do your hair, or let you do their hair. Yeah, there we go. Trade with the mom. Be like, hey, she's really fighting me. Your kid's really fighting you. Let's trade. And a lot of times, dancers are a lot better with somebody else's mom when it comes to hair. I have not figured that out. I don't know why. That was one of the things that I really enjoyed with my mom, was when she did my hair. And I'll be honest, I still, if I'm needing a ballet bun and she's here, have her do it. Because I'm like, dang, I can rest for a few minutes. Okay? So if it's not your thing, switch kids, ask moms. And one of the cool things about dance moms, okay, I've got ups and downs, they help each other out. Okay, they're really good at helping each other out. So that's one of the cool things. And you'll learn that dance moms, you're a team, because you're going to spend a lot of time together. So you're going to really get to know each other. So ask, talk. How do I do this? What's the easier way to do this? There are a lot of tools out there now for buns. Like I have one that looks like a donut. You just pull your ponytail through and then it's like 2 seconds. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, but start practicing the bun now, and don't send your kid to class with their hair not done, not out of their face, or in a messy bun, okay? Because that's going to come out within 2 seconds. That's my hair talk. All right. So that's for dress code. So I'm going to just quickly kind of go over the first day, because I know this turned out to be a lot longer than I thought it was. On the first day of dance class, make it an event, okay? Make it really special. And I highly suggest doing this with all sports and activities. Make it important, okay? It's important to the kid because that's why you signed him up for it. At least I hope so. So make it a big deal. Be like, oh, it's dance night. When you're done, we're going to go eat ice cream, or let's, do this or that. So just make it a big deal, make it important, be excited about it, be ready for it, be energetic. One of the things which I kind of touched about earlier when we were talking about dance bags, I always have a snack in there. I don't know how many times I got dancers that came in right after school and they were starving. They were not up for learning dance. They needed something on their belly before I could even do one move. Okay? Please, I'm begging you as a dance teacher, do not give them a sugary soda, treat, anything that has sugar in it, okay? And I'm not getting into the whole healthy, that kind of, the reason I am saying this is because when they down a big old soda right before class, about 3/4 of the class way in, that sugar is gone, okay? And then they drop even farther because that's how sugar works, which is why people drink 500 sodas a day, okay? So if you give your dancer soda, 3/4 of the class they're dropping. Their just energy is just. So by that time of class, a lot of times is when we're doing across the floor. That's when they're doing their big jumps, their turns, or depending on what time of year it is, that's when they're learning their recital dances, that last little part of class. So if they're crashing from the sugar, they're not going to be able to pick up things the way they should. Okay, so it's super important to start teaching them now how to properly fuel their body. Okay, it's not sugar treats. You know, if they're tired, give them an apple. Okay, water. You need to have a big old water bottle in their dance bag so they have water every week. Okay, that first class, make sure you get there at least 10 to 15 minutes early. Okay, and the reason I say that is so that way you can do potty breaks before class. You can get that taken care of and done. They can watch the class before, if there's a class before them, so that way they can kind of see what they're doing and like, oh, okay, I can do that. You know, if there's obviously a window view. And then if your little one is still kind of on the potty training, they haven't quite got it yet, make sure that you show them where the bathroom is, because like I said, the teacher cannot go out of the classroom to take them potty. So if your kid is kind of on that, we're most days good, but maybe once or twice a month, we have an accident. First, stay at the studio. Do not leave that teacher, okay? And then make sure you tell your child when you see the teacher, if you need to go potty, tell her, okay? Over the years, I've had students that they're itty bitty, they're new, they're nervous. We get in class, we do one move, and waterworks everywhere. And I'm like, okay, here we go. So just make sure that you point out, this is the bathroom, this is where you need to go if you need to go potty. Tell your teacher if you need to go potty. But as a parent, guardian, make sure you take them before the class to go potty, okay? Because a lot of times classes are 30 minutes. So if your kid's like, I gotta go pee, there's 5 minutes gone, okay? So just try to be aware of that. And then this kind of leads into another thing for your first class. This is probably the first couple classes. If you're in a studio that has a viewing window, as in you're sitting there, you can see the students, they can see you, okay? I understand that a lot of moms are either, teachers are grading papers, or you have a side hustle, okay? Which is what I do. If you're in that viewing window, your kid can see you, okay? Do not sit there on your cell phone and work away, okay? Or grade your papers or whatever you need to do. I will never forget, I had a little bitty, probably 3 or 4. We were doing dance class, and she did a step, and it was the first time she'd ever done that step. She was so excited. We were both excited because we've been working on it. And she looked at her mom to get her attention, and her mom is doing this, okay? Her mom did that for a long time and never looked up. So that kid is watching her mom, and then eventually the kid turned around, looked me in the eyes, and then kind of went through the motions for the rest of the class. I was gutted for the kid, okay? So if you're doing your side hustle, or you're grading your papers, or you're just needing that mom mental break and want to read a book, do it outside the view of the window, okay? If you're in that window, I'm not saying sit there with your eyes like this the whole time. But be aware, look up, see the kid. And another example I have, this one was traumatizing for me, and I'm sure it was for the kid. The kid was dancing, and all of a sudden she looked at me and she goes, Miss Anna, my tummy hurts. I go, oh, your tummy? Bleh. That kid just all over. And I was like, okay. And I look over at the mom, and she's sitting there on her phone. I'm like, okay, I can't leave a class full of 10 3-year-olds with a pile of vomit on the floor. Like, it's just not going to happen. And it took forever, and finally I had to scream, hey. And then she looked up and then came in, and we were able to get everything moving and cleaned and what we needed to. So if you're in the viewing window and we can see you, please be aware of it when you're on your phone. Your kid, some kids, especially when they're young and little, they need that validation that their mom is watching or whoever brought them is watching, and they're like, yeah, you're doing good. Make sure, also with the viewing window, if you're bringing siblings, make sure they're not banging on the window, licking the window, or other random things that I've seen. So just kind of be aware of that, because if you're seeing us, we're seeing you, that kind of thing. So just a heads up on that. And like I said, if you're doing that, just kind of sit outside the view of the window. We're all good. Do your thing. If it was me, I'd be taking a nap during that 30 minutes. That's kind of where I'm at today. Okay, so when you're sitting in the waiting room that first night, take what the other moms are saying with a grain of salt. There will be that dance mom whose child is the goddess of dance. Her child, oh, Susie has moved up, and this is our second year, and she's in level 5, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, good for her, okay? Then you're going to have the mom that's super, super grumpy. Her kid didn't move up last year, and now she's got to sit with this mom, and this mom's praising, so she's just bleh. So just be careful of the environment that you're in. If you get in there and it's just, you feel that it's toxic, okay, then move away. You don't have to be a part of that, okay? Dance moms don't have to be BFFs. It's great if they are, because it works better and it's a better team, but you don't have to be, okay? So just be aware of that. You're going to have your goods and your bads in there. If you're bringing food, so say your dancer has a 5 o'clock class, and then they have a 7 o'clock class, and then they've got like a 15-minute window in there. So you're like, hey, I'm going to bring her some dinner so she can eat. Make sure it's a light meal, and then make sure it's not, how can I say this, potent in smell. Because a lot of times you'll be in there and you'll open it up in the waiting room, and then everybody's smelling it, and everybody's sitting there and they want to watch their kids, and then you got that smell. And then when you got dance teachers like me who don't get to eat until 10 o'clock at night, when we smell it, we're like, oh my God, it smells so good. So just be aware of that. But keep the meal light, because if they go to their next class and they've got a big old heavy meal on their stomach, it's not going to go well for anybody. So just a heads up on that. When you take your little one, okay, and she starts crying. So it's that first day, you're walking under class and she starts crying. First, try to go to the teacher and be like, hey, this is Susie. And hopefully you've got a good teacher who knows and been working with little kids for a long time. They will most likely take the kid from you who's crying and go sit down with the other kids, kind of talk to her, walk around the room with her, get her comfortable, okay? That's best case scenario. If your kid is crying and they're just not letting go and they're holding on for dear life, do not ask to sit in the classroom, okay? And the reason I say that is because if you sit in that classroom one time for 2 minutes or even less, that kid is going to expect you to sit in that class every single week until they're 100 years old, okay? So don't ask to sit in the classroom. And another thing is, A, it's very distracting for everybody in the classroom. B, the kid is not going to leave you. They're going to just sit there with you, and that's what's going to happen. They're not going to be like, oh, my mommy's here, I'm going to get up and go dance. No, they're going to stay with you, okay? And then it sets a precedence with the other moms, like, oh, she thinks she's so good that she can sit in there and we can't, and that's not a good situation to put yourself in or the dance teacher, okay? So if your kid is uncontrollably crying and you can't even use a crowbar to get them pry off of you, I would suggest taking them back into the waiting room and sitting with them, okay? If you have a viewing window, watch through the window for a couple minutes, then ask your dancer, hey, do you want to go back in there? Are you ready to go try it? They say no, okay, try it a little bit longer. If they have the combo class, say, okay, you can sit out here, but when we change shoes, you're going to go in there. And then probably 50% of the kids would go in at the halftime. If they're like, absolutely not, then go home. and I know that you paid for that class, but just, it's not good for everybody, okay? It's distracting to everybody. It's putting stress on you. It's putting stress on your kid. And just go home, and it's okay. It's okay. It is okay. I don't know how many times I've had a 3-year-old come in the first week and they're melting down and they're just like the whole world just exploded on them. And then the next week they come to class and they walk right in like nothing ever happened. Kids have rough days just like adults, okay? So they might have had a rough day at daycare. They might have not gotten a nap that day. They might have, something happened on the way to dance, okay? And it's okay. We understand that, especially those who teach littles. We get that. And the same thing for high schoolers, okay? We get it. It's stressful. It's stressful. So if you're having an off day, it's okay. It is okay to have off day. If you're little, by the second week, third week, I would kind of maybe think about, okay, maybe we should wait a little bit, okay? And we'll talk about that next week. But do not ask to go sit in that classroom. I beg you with everything. And then kind of at the end of class, kids are shy, okay? And I get at least a handful of parents every year. I'm signing her up because she's really shy and I want to get her to be more open. And I'm like, got it, done, okay? So if that first class, if you're sitting there watching and she has stood on her spot the entire class but has not moved, okay, she just stood there, okay? Or a lot of times they'll stand there like chewing on their hand or something. That is awesome, okay? And the reason I say that is they went in, they stood where they were supposed to, and they did it, okay? You know, each kid is different, okay? Each kid is going to progress differently. Each kid is going to grow differently. So if your child goes into that first class and they just stand there, when they come out of that class, yay, I am so proud of you. You stood on your spot. You did a good job. That's awesome, okay? Next week they go in, because if you've got a good teacher, they're going to keep working on them. They'll say, okay, well, let's just move your elbows today. Let's just do this move today. Okay? And the kid will a lot of times just do that one move. And then they're going to slowly build until the kid is front stage center at the recital stealing the show. Okay? So just, if you've got that really shy child and they just stood in class, that is okay. And it is okay if like the first 2 weeks, they don't even want to stand in their spot. They just want to sit up front. That is okay. They're in class. They're watching. They're still learning. They're seeing what the others are doing. A lot of times watching the other kids, they're like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. Okay. So that's a big thing. Also, if you're thinking about getting your student into dance, look into the studio kind of the year before, maybe around April, May. A lot of studios have what they call a Bring a Friend Week. That is a great opportunity to have your child try a dance class. Okay. And do not, when you try classes, this goes all the way across, don't quit after the first night. Do not let that first night indicate how the rest of the year is going to go. Like I said, they could be having an off day. The teacher could be having an off day. Okay? It's so many things come into factor. I highly suggest try out the entire month. Okay? After the month, if it's just not your thing, it's not working, they just are like, bleh, not happening. Okay, that's not it. We'll try it again later, or let's go do something else. Okay, so give it time, let them try it. And this goes for the older students, adults. If you're trying dance for the first time, don't give up after the first night. Give it at least a month. Get your groove, kind of learn it, kind of get into it. Because I've learned the older we get and we try new things, it's way scarier. We are really good at talking ourselves out of things. So just give it a shot. Give it a month. It's four classes. Try it, okay? And then on the first class, teachers are going to talk a lot more, okay? They're trying to learn all the students' names. They're trying to figure out personalities. Like, okay, this kid's really outgoing, so for this class, I'm going to put her up front. This kid's a little bit shy, so I don't want to put her up front because I don't want to freak her out the first class. So the teacher's kind of getting to know them. So I know with my littles, at every class I did this just because 3-year-olds like to talk a lot. A lot. So what I would do is I'd come in, I would say their name, and they would raise their hand and say here, and then I would say, tell me one good thing that happened today. And so I would do this, and that way they got all their talking out, so when we started class, they were good to go. So it might have taken 5 extra minutes, but it gave them a chance to get all their talking out. It gave me a chance to kind of get to know them a little better. And I also taught them how to talk in front of a group. Okay, so, public speaking is really, really hard. So I started teaching that at 3. They're learning how to talk in front of each other. They're learning how to take turns. So many benefits from it. So if you see your teacher spending a little extra time on that first week, don't freak out about it. Every class is not going to be like that. If you have a teacher that you're 15, 20 minutes in and we're still talking, you need to say something. No, there's no reason to be talking that much during a paid dance class. I'm throwing it out there. The only time I can see that is there's some issues, like with the high schoolers, like they're beefing or something. I don't know. But no, you should not be taking that much talk time. Just throwing that out there. So, the last thing is after class, boost them up. Like I said, it's hard to start new things. So when your dancer is trying something new, you need to be excited. And this goes across with any sports, okay? Or any activity. It's scary for them. It's something new. They're in a new, strange place. They're wearing new, strange clothes. So just when they come out, you're just like, yeah, that was awesome. I'm so proud of you. You did good. Let's go get some ice cream. Like, whew, awesome job, okay? And then, let's see. And the last thing I kind of have with this is, and we'll talk about this next week, students progress at different rates, okay? It is what it is. You do not have 2 children that are exactly the same, okay? So some of the students that I've seen that were shy at first and they kind of took a long time to get going, those a lot of times ended up being the ones that stuck with dance, and they're the ones that at the end, like their junior, senior year, were going off to college to do dance, and that was their thing. The ones that were really, really right out the gate, got it good, a lot of times it fizzles out. So don't freak out if your dancer isn't progressing as quickly, because give it time and they will get there. Everybody grows at different rates. Everybody learns, just give it time. It also give your teacher time to get to know your students. So I've had students where I could say one thing and they had it. I had other students where I had to show them and demonstrate it, and then they were able to do it. So just at that first month or 2, just give it time for everybody to get to know each other and just work together. So, with that, that's the end. So next week we're going to talk about teacher passion, which sure that will be entertaining. We'll also talk in detail about your role as a parent, guardian, if you're the designated dancer person, and then when to talk to your teacher about moving up your kid, or when it's time to say, you know what, maybe dance is not your thing. Okay, so we will do that next week. So thank you for joining, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Have a good night.